Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to be at WonderCon this weekend. If you are there, come and find me. I'll have stickers. But because I'm going to be there, I thought I would do this easy video. It is very old, I believe late 2019 or very early 2020. And so you're going to hear my channel referred to as Girl with the Comic Con Tattoo, which was the original name, but it's not anymore. I hope that you really appreciate Blair. He's a great guy. Ow! Sierra! Welcome to another episode of Girl with the Comic Con Tattoo. I am here with... How do you say your last name?
Held.
Held. Blair Heald, right?
Yes.
Blair is a master cosplayer and has won several awards with the Masquerade, and he's going to talk about his history with cosplay and this year's Masquerade, Comic-Con 2099, where you were the Battleship Yamato.
Space Battleship Yamato.
Space Battleship Yamato. And see, I said it right, because on Saturday all I could say was Yamada.
I remember.
I've been practicing. So here's our interview with Blair. So Blair, how did you get into cosplay and costuming?
As a kid, I really enjoyed dressing up for Halloween, and that kind of translated into life. And then later, when I got into conventions, someone convinced me to participate in a costuming routine, and I just enjoyed the hell out of it. So when I started going to anime conventions, I had this anime character who was very popular at the time that I really happened to look like. And I went, I'm dressing up as him. And, well, lo and behold, my very first anime costume wins the Masquerade. And I'm like, hey, not only do I like this, I'm good at it, and I've just been working at it ever since.
What was the costume?
Oh, Annabelle Gato from Mobile Suit Gundam 0083.
Where do you get your inspiration?
I don't know. I walk through thrift stores and I look for shapes, and I go, that could be what I'm looking for. That could be what I'm looking for. Hey, look at that. If I cut that part off, that could be a shoulder pad. And eventually I come up with a finished model I want to look at, and I go looking for shapes, and it all comes together.
So what's your favorite material that you like to use?
Zip ties. I absolutely love zip ties. Whether I'm connecting cardboard to wood or plastic to plastic, I can just drill a couple of holes, loop a zip tie through, cinch it up, and it holds forever. Basically everyday plastic. The stuff you make waste baskets and laundry baskets out of. I usually buy preformed items like trash cans. You cut a hole out of the bottom of a trash can, and you just covered your arm or your upper leg. And then you can just add stuff to it or whatever else you need. Just look around for things that are made out of that everyday plastic. I don't know if it's PET or something else, but whatever it is, I like it.
What's your favorite cosplay that you've ever done?
I would have to say Giant Robo. It was the first time I ever did a giant robot. And, the costume almost didn't even happen. It was, a lot of very complex curves and shapes I couldn't figure out how to replicate. And then there it was, a big plastic flower pot in exactly the shape I needed. And it ran from there. And, it was a hard costume to wear, but, I won Best of Show in it. I had an impromptu interview with a notorious anime voice actor who he gave up his seat in the Masquerade to accost me backstage and ask me what I made my costume out of. And that, so it was a famous encounter brought entirely on just by the fact I was dressed up as his favorite character. And so that, in its turn, made that one of my favorite costumes to wear.
Which cosplay did you learn the most from in making it or in wearing it?
Also, the same costume, Giant Robo. When I built it, I didn't give any thought to weight distribution. So the entire costume, the entire weight of the upper body, the skirts that hang down to the knees, the giant rocket thrusters on the back, the shoulders and the arms, all of that weight hung off of 2 points on my shoulders. And I got trapped in the costume due to a technical glitch backstage for like 3 hours with this weight just pressing down on my shoulders. This taught me a very, very valuable lesson. Use a backpack. And so I've, incorporated some kind of backpack or strap element into every other costume I've done since.
So can you give us some background on the Yamato, which is your costume from the Masquerade 2019?
The Yamato was a Japanese battleship during World War II. It had the largest naval guns ever mounted to a warship. And it was, sunk during the end of World War II on what was basically a suicide mission to attack the Americans at Okinawa. And it got overwhelmed by bombers and torpedoes, and it went down. And then in 1974, I think it was, in the early 70s, this anime series came out, and they had originally wanted to make a spaceship that was based out of an asteroid. And someone came up with this, at the time, seemed harebrained idea. What if we make the spaceship out of an old World War II battleship? And so they did. The story actually involves them finding the wreck of the Yamato and rebuilding it into this light speed capable spaceship and setting off into the stars to, rescue the human race. And it has just become this pop culture icon. It is one of the most recognizable spaceships in science fiction, and it inspired me as a child. And then when I got into cosplaying, I went, hey, I need to make that. I need to make that as a costume because I know I can do it.
So why did you choose the Yamato and not something else?
Just because I really love the Yamato. Like I said, it was a part of my childhood that was so influential. I was literally late to school every day for a year because I had to see what came next. Each episode came after the last. It was the first story I ever saw that played out in order. Scooby-Doo, doesn't matter what order you watch it in. They solve the villain, they catch the villain by the end of every episode. In this show, if you missed episode 3, you'd walk into episode 4 with no idea what was going on. And so it grabbed you, just reached out and grabbed you and carried you along. And it was the first time in my life I dealt with that kind of storytelling experience. And so later in life, this was kind of my way of giving something back to it. It helped shape my love of science fiction. And then as I got into costuming, somewhere along the way, the two just kind of crossed paths, and I went, wait, I can do that. I can do that. And so I did.
Did you have any particular challenges with the Yamato and building it or making it, wearing it?
It was very, very long, front to back, over 11 feet. And so I had to be very, very careful of what was in front of me, what was behind me, because if I spun too fast, I could just knock somebody over. It was also very difficult to see. I could only see basically straight forward. And of course it was heavy. And so it required quite a few extra people to help me get in and out of it while I was off stage. So it was a challenge, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
What plans do you have for the future as far as your cosplay goes?
I'm really interested in maybe doing a Godzilla. I've wanted to do a Godzilla costume since I was a kid, and I think I've learned enough and absorbed enough that I think I can actually pull it off now.
So one more quick question. Why do you love cosplay and costuming?
I think part of it is that at various points in my life I've struggled with not really being happy with who I am. And cosplay allows me for at least a moment or a day to just not be myself and not have all that, that crushing depression and anxiety keep me from being me. And so, way back in the day when I wasn't a giant robot, I would dress up in my Anna Velgato costume and just be able to wander the conventions without a care or concern, because it wasn't me. That fragile, nervous, anxious, fanboy who was, I was made fun of so badly in school. Kids in other schools knew who I was by reputation. It, that's a crushing impediment to get over growing up, and cosplay helped me through that.
Thank you so much for watching my interview with Blair. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you're going to be at WonderCon this weekend, please find me and say hi. I'll give you a sticker. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like, subscribe, share, all of the typical things I'm always telling you guys to do. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day and don't work too hard.